I miss her all the time. But you don't miss her, do you?
Miss her? Never met her.
On Lord Fauntleroy's orders, you are to be left in peace until the end of the year at least.
Thank God. May the Lord bless that child for the good he's done this day.
Amen to that, Mrs. Higgins.
The wonder to me is that Lord Dorincourt allowed it. He was never one to be sentimental.
You know what, Mrs. Mellon? I think, deep down, he admires the boy's pluck.
Oh, damn the boy, Cedric!
No, there's no doubt that the Earl could bring about great changes in many people's lives here, if he could only be induced to do it.
Why did no one tell you how things were here? Why didn't Mr. Newick say? That was wrong, wasn't it?
They told me. Someday we'll be an Earl. When you are the Earl of Dorincourt. See to it that you're a better one than I have been.
It's good of you to feed me like this, Mr. Hobbs. I haven't eaten like this since I left my brother's house, and even then it weren't so good.
Why did you leave your brothers?
Because his wife came back, Mr. Hobbs. She was a witch, a real witch. I miss my brother, though. I'd be in touch if I knew how.
Never mind that now. I've got a treat for us this evening.
Is it from SETI, Mr. Hobbs?
It is, boy. I thought we'd open it up together. After all, it is addressed to us both.
Is it, Mr. Hobbs?
Huh? See for yourself. Well, sure it is. There, Mr. Hobbs and Dick Tipton. That's what that says.
My. Isn't that something? Mr. Hobbs, do you think we might open it?
Yeah. Dear Mr. Hobbs and Dick, I want to tell you about my grandfather. He's the best Earl you ever knew, and it is a mistake about Earls being tyrants. He is not a tyrant at all, and if you knew him, you would be good friends, I'm sure. Well, he may be sure, but I ain't. And the truth is, he is never happier than when he is doing good. Huh.
Come on, you've got to see it. It's incredible.
Hello, girls. I'm coming, Teddy. Heavens, 2 minutes won't make a difference.
It'll make you so proud of Grandfather.
Hello! Mrs. Errol, Lord Fauntleroy, good day. And by heaven, it is a good day.
What's happening?
Lord Dorincourt has ordered this whole section of the village renovated. Walls, roofs, windows, everything is to be repaired. Here, let me show you. Drains are being laid, a pump installed for every 4 houses.
Hi there.
Hello. What more could one ask for? Oh, allow me.
You see? I told you how good he is. That looks like tough going. We should have tackled it sooner. It didn't seem worth it till now.
Oh, come on, woman. Stand up when you're talking to his lordship.
What's your name? I guess you already know mine.
Lizzie Baker, your lordship. I'm Bill Baker, and this is Amy.
Well, I'm glad to know you all.
Oh, not as glad as we are to know you, my lord. We've heard all about you.
Oh, you have?
We have, your lordship.
From my sister, Lucy, as you've been kind to up at the castle and please your lordship.
Oh, I know Lucy right enough. Well, that's grand. I'll tell her we've met. And I hope they're looking after you, Mr. Baker.
They're looking after all of us, your lordship. Thanks to you.
Oh, no, Mr. Baker. It wasn't my doing at all. It's my grandfather you have to thank.
You're right. This is good. I am very glad to see it. You must be grateful to Lord Dorincourt, Mr. Mordaunt, for yielding at last to your arguments, and yielding so wholeheartedly.
It's Lord Fauntleroy that we have to thank for all this. We both know that. The Earl would indulge his every whim. I just give thanks to God, and to you, madam, that his whims are generous.
Nevertheless, it is Lord Dorincourt who must give the orders and spend the money. Remember that, Mr. Mordaunt. Said he will not thank you for forgetting it.
He's here! Grandfather!
Cedric.
Come and see what they're doing. Now, Grandfather, this is Mr. Waddle and Mr. Slack. They're digging the drains here that'll connect up with all the cottages.
Oh, fancy that.
This is my grandfather. He's come to see how you're all getting on.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Oh, my lord.
I hope the work is not too taxing for you in this hot weather.
Thank you. Not too bad, thank you, my lord.
That's Edric.
My lord!
Ah, Mordaunt. This must be a triumphant day for you.
It is a great day for Dorincourt, my lord.
Lord Fauntleroy insisted on it. He thinks it will improve the property. You may tell the tenants it was his idea.
That may be so, Lord Dorincourt, but Lord Fauntleroy's mother has pointed out that we must not forget it's you that will pay the bills.
Oh. We talked about the bills, did she? How kind. The Americans are especially gifted in that area. They talk of money a great deal. Ought, I've been told.
She was just here, my lord. She was admiring the work. Would you like me to see if I can find her?
I wouldn't think of detaining her. Or you. Good day, Mr. Mordaunt. Come, Cedric. Robert, we'll walk.
Your Lordship.
What is it, Thomas?
You have a visitor, my lord. Lady Constantia Lorridale. I've shown her into the drawing room.
Thank you, Thomas. Now we're for it.
Who is she, Grandfather?
Better get upstairs and get Dawson to tidy you up and then join us in the drawing room.
But who is she?
My sister.
Well, Molyneux.
Stand sharp. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit?
Don't be ironic with me, Molyneux. I'm proof against your barbs. I stopped coming here because I could not endure the mistakes you were making with your sons. I have come again to try to prevent you bungling with your grandson.
Your interest is very flattering, but pray don't trouble yourself. Cedric and I are managing very well.
Are you? And what does the boy's mother have to say about that? Does she think you manage very well?
I've not asked her.
Well, don't you think you should?
No, I don't.
I take it then that this mad story that's running round the county, that you will not receive your son's widow, is true.
It is.
Really, Molyneux, you are ridiculous. What kind of position have you put the poor woman in? People will not visit her, as they will think her guilty of some transgression. You should be ashamed of yourself making needless scandal like this. Besides, her husband was a fine man. By far the best of your sons. What makes you think that he would marry someone unworthy?
She is an American.
Napoleon was a Corsican. The Princess of Wales is Danish. What on earth has that to do with anything? Ah. Come here, my dear. I am your grandfather's sister. That makes me your great aunt.
I'm pleased to know you, ma'am.
You may call me Aunt Constantia, if you like.
I sure do, Aunt Constantia. Gee, only a little while ago, I thought there was just me and Dearest. But now, well, we've got family.
Dearest?
His mother.
Your mother? I should so like to know her. Do you think I might call on her?
Oh, that would be swell. You see, she doesn't know too many people here yet. And, well, I think she gets kind of lonely. Her being on her own and all, you know.
I know. I am also on my own now, you see.
Oh, gee, that's too bad.
I am to return to Dorincourt next week, and when I do, I shall pay her a visit. You may tell her I said so.
I sure will.
Begging your pardon, ma'am. I'm just going down to the village, and I was wondering, do you want anything?
I don't think so, thank you, Mary. I'll be walking through the village myself this afternoon as Lord Fauntleroy wants to view the laying of the drains.
They're saying it's just the beginning, ma'am, that there's no end to the good he'll do.
Don't tempt fate, Mary. Let's just be thankful for the work that Lord Dorincourt's put in hand today.
Lord Dorincourt, indeed, ma'am.
Mary, Lord Dorincourt has never spoken ill of me to Cedric. I will not speak ill of him in return.
Very well, ma'am, you know best. But his lordship's lucky to have you if he did but know it, and that's the truth.
He's a fine boy, Molyneux.
Thank you.
What makes you think you can take the credit?
So you come to my little gathering.
If you really want me,
Well, I've asked you, haven't I?
then yes, I'll come. I'm very touched.
You'll stay here?
Heavens, so many treats at once. So, we are to be friends again.
I should like nothing better, as long as you'll stop interfering.
Oh, I won't promise that. And Molyneux, when I return, I mean to call on her. Thank you, Watson.
Yes?
I want to see Mr. Havisham.
Do you have an appointment?
No.
Then I'm afraid it's quite impossible.
No, it isn't. It's quite possible.
Now, you just tell him I'm here.
Lord?
Hi there, Lucy. Oh, sit down. What are you doing? Shelling peas. My lord. They gave me a mound of them to do for luncheon. Oh. Do you want to come down to the lake? No, my lord, I doesn't. I've these to do, and then I have to wash and cut the cabbage, and it'll be time to start on the washing up. Oh, just for 10 minutes. I've been practicing my ducks and drakes. It's no fun at all if no one's there to see it. If I help you with these, will you come? Oh, I don't know, my lord. I shouldn't. Come on. Oh, all right. Only for 10 minutes, mind. I shall fetch it for more melon if she sees me. But first I must finish these.
You can stare at me all you like. I'm not leaving until I've seen Havisham. You can tell him that.
There's no need.
Are you Havisham?
I'm Mr. Havisham, yes. Might I ask who you are?
You'll find out.
I'm in search of Lord Fauntleroy.
He's playing down by the lake, your lordship.
Who's that he's playing with?
One of the maids, my lord.
One of the maids?
There's no harm in it, my lord. They're only children when all is said and done. Skip 4 times. Gee, look at that one. Lucy. Grandfather. I've been throwing ducks and drakes. I guess I'm getting pretty good. Smithers showed me how, and he said whenever I get a good flat stone, I should pick it up and save it. Unless you think that's cheating.
Far from it. I think it shows initiative.
Good. Lucy? Oh. She's gone.
Well, you must excuse her. I dare say she has a very busy schedule.
I guess so.
I hear that I'm giving a party tonight.
Oh, I sure have. Old Mel. Mrs. Mellon's been in a real bait about it all week.
Well, if I knew what a bait was, I could comment. I'd like you to attend. It's time you met some of my neighbors. They're curious about you.
Me? But why?
Well, because you're my heir. Because one day you'll know them all. Besides, you're a novelty. And in the country, any diversion is welcome.
Well, I think that's swell. If you can really be bothered.
Oh, I can.
Hodson, I'm leaving the office now. I will cancel the rest of my appointments for today, make my apologies, and cancel everything for tomorrow. I must go down to Dorincourt straight away. Send a message for my man to pack an overnight bag and meet me at Paddington.
Very good, Mr. Havisham.
I think the smaller jars are better for the old people on their own. Let's start with those.
Right, jar, madam, but I don't know how many plums we'll get into them.
Now, how shall we do this? Where's the ladle?
Oh, it's here, ma'am, but begging your pardon, I think we might do better with a jug as well.
Quite right, Annie, thank you. Here goes.
Should do it. Here.
Smells good.
Lady Constantia Lorridale, ma'am.
Lady Constantia, good morning.
I'm delighted to see you, my dear.
Well, I'm delighted too.
I'm a little surprised, I dare say. You've not received much in the way of kindness from your husband's family, I think.
Not that surprised. Said he told me you might call. And anyway, you were always my husband's favourite aunt, you know.
Oh, it was quite mutual, I can assure you. Your little boy is very like his father.
Yes.
Now, if you will be kind enough to find me a spare apron, I think we should get back to work.
Mary? Right. These are for the village. The small ones are for the old people on their own. The large ones are for the families. And this group is for ourselves.
Very sensible, my dear. But may I make a suggestion? Yes. If we spoon the plums directly into the jars, we may have some guarantee of even distribution. As it is, it looks as if some of the villagers will have to be content with little more than plum juice.
Will you keep still? Now bend your arm.
Haven't you finished yet?
I'll tell you when I've finished.
Will I have to wear this?
And why shouldn't you?
Because I look like a soppy girl. That's why.
It's what Mrs. Mellon ordered from London, and that's good enough for you. When you're older, you can choose your own clothes, but until then, you wear what you're told and like it.
I'm Who's coming to this party, Dawson?
Oh, the grand folk from roundabout, I suppose. They'll want to get a look at you.
A bit like a monkey in the zoo.
Nonsense. You'll have a fine time, you'll see.
Dearest hasn't been asked.
I should think she'd be too busy to come anyway.
No, she wouldn't. She never does anything in the evenings, and nobody comes to see her apart from Mr. Mordaunt. Dawson, why does she have to sit down there all alone while Grandfather's just as lonely up here? I know I'm not supposed to ask questions, but what's the point of it?
I don't know, my love. I just don't know.
But will they all come to the party tonight?
My dear, most of them haven't seen the inside of Dorincourt Castle for 10 years. They'll come.
Sadie seems awfully young to have a party given for him.
Molyneux wants to show him off, that's all. I don't think there's any harm in it.
Oh, no, of course not.
I gather you're not invited.
Oh, no, certainly not.
You know, if I thought it would do any good, I would have refused myself. But I don't want to quarrel with him again. I think I can do more by remaining friends.
Oh, but you must go. I'm relying on you to make sure Sadie behaves.
My dear, my brother is a stubborn, selfish, spoiled old man. But I can see that your Sadie has already wrought a change in him. I've no doubt that's why he and I are now on speaking terms.
Then I'm glad.
You know, he doesn't hate you half as much as he thinks he does.
Here you are, George.
Thanks for that, Ned. Cheers.
What else, dear?
Lord Dorincourt, we must be away. We've quite a distance to travel.
I'm sorry to hear that. I hope it was worth the trouble.
It certainly was. Your grandson is a fine boy. You must be very proud of him.
Well, Lady Tenridge, no. I rather think I am.
Come here, Lord Fauntleroy, and tell me why you stare at me so. I was thinking how beautiful you are.
Oh, Fauntleroy, make the most of this time. When you're older, you won't have the courage to say that.
But don't you think she's beautiful?
We're not allowed to say what we think about Miss Vivian Herbert.
Well, Lord Fauntleroy is certainly allowed to say what he thinks. And as a reward, he shall come and sit next to me here. Some chocolates, please, Mr. Foxton.
Better go up and see does she want anything before I turn in. She won't. She's no trouble, that one. No trouble? I say she's no trouble. She's an angel from heaven. Well, then why does his lordship punish her? Leaving her sitting alone night after night, pining for her boy? My mother said it must mean she's no better than she ought to be. She what? I don't think that, and I told her so. You did right. Well, then why? I don't know, but I do know this. He'll be sorry one day for the grief he's given her. Horace never said a cruel word in her life, and I hope I'm there to see it.
My lord? Mr. Havisham is here. He wishes to speak to your lordship.
As a matter, what the devil does he want? Show him into the library, I've seen there. Would you excuse me?
Of course. My brother seems very intent on something.
I gather Mr. Havisham has come down from London.
Havisham the lawyer? Whatever for, I wonder? Well, Cedric seems to be enjoying himself. At any rate, he ate a great deal at dinner, and he doesn't seem to have stopped yet. I hope he doesn't have to pay for it in the morning.
I'm sure his memories will offset any discomfort.
Well, Anderson, did wait. I guess we'll be leaving soon.
Forgive me, my lord, but disagreeable as my news is, I really thought you ought to hear it tonight.
Bad news, eh?
It is indeed, my lord. Very bad news. The worst news. I'm sorry to be the bearer of it. I had a visitor at my chambers today. She brought me a tale of your lordship's eldest son, the late Lord Fauntleroy.
Darcy? I thought we'd heard the worst of that. More debts to pay.
Worse than that, my lord. It seems that while Lord Fauntleroy was living in Paris some years ago, he contracted a marriage.
Marriage? What marriage? To a French woman?
To an American. An American he'd met in New York. Apparently she followed him to Paris, and he married her.
He would. To do now? Pay her off, I suppose. What does she want? A scandal? An income for life? Oh, Darcy, Darcy, Darcy!
Forgive me, Lord Dorincourt. You have still not grasped the case. She has a child. A boy of 11 years old.
But if she and Darcy have a son, then...
Precisely. Her child, Darcy Errol, is now Lord Fauntleroy.
It's a lie. It's a base lie.
If it is a lie, it is painfully like the truth. According to her story, they married 12 years ago. They quarrelled a year later, and she agreed to remain abroad when he came home. She's only lately fully understood her son's rights.
Rights? Do you dare talk to me of rights? Have you seen proof?
I've seen the marriage certificate.
I should refuse to believe any of this. It wasn't so entirely in keeping with my dear son, Darcy. What is she like?
She's handsome in a vulgar sort of way, and loud. She can scarcely spell her own name. She's utterly uneducated and openly mercenary. I would say it is the money that interests her.
You have spoken well of Cedric's mother from the start, when I refused to acknowledge her. I kept her away from her boy, away from my house, and I cut her at every turn. And yet I suppose that she can spell her own name. I'm judged, Havisham. I'm paid out. I'm humbled.
Molyneux, where on earth have you been? Everyone wanted to thank you and to say goodbye.
Where is Cedric?
Over there. Poor little lad. He's worn out.
Oh, Havisham, if anybody had told me that I could be fond of a child, I would not have believed them. I've always detested children, my own more than the rest. But I am fond of this one, and he is fond of me. I'm not popular. Never have been. But he is fond of me. He would have filled my place better than I have filled it. I know that. He would have honoured the name. Thomas, carry Lord Fauntleroy up to his room.